Thanks for staying with us. This is our last session before the break. And what we're talking about here is multi-channel customer experiences. While people shuffle around and find their way to seats and to different sessions, let me throw up the feedback code for this session. It's at T10, T10. Send that to 39242, and you'll get the feedback survey. We really do want that feedback, please. So what we're talking about in this session is multi-channel communications. Now, you have heard us talk so far today about voice calling, about video calling, about IP messaging. But really, when you're talking about building a customer experience, those are just a few of the channels of communication that you want to handle. You also want to be able to handle email. You want to be able to handle CRM. You want to be able to handle maybe social networks, and maybe many other types of communications and interactions that you want to handle and route gracefully and be able to orchestrate all of these things so that the right thing is given to the right person at the right time who has the right skill set. And so what myself and Henry, solution architect, are going to go through right now is how TaskRouter can help you orchestrate all of these things. We're going to start off by talking a little bit about how TaskRouter works, and then we're going to break into demo after demo after demo after demo. We have a fairly complicated AV setup. These guys at the back love us right now. And we hope we're going to show you and make these things real with some real-life demos. So let's start off and just talk about TaskRouter and how TaskRouter works. So the idea here is you want to be able to make sure that all of your tasks, all of your interactions are handled through the same system so that you're always making a decision with full knowledge of the entirety of everything that has to happen. Whereas to date, you've maybe traditionally had a call center platform over here that handles routing your voice calls, and something else over here that's doing your email handling, something else doing your support tickets, and maybe a whole bunch of channels that you really want to add, but you haven't been able to add. And so TaskRouter gives you that one single place to orchestrate everything. It is the beating heart of a call center ripped out and made available as a vendor-agnostic API. So let's follow through something through the life cycle of TaskRouter. It starts off with a task. That task can be anything. Let's say, in this case, it's a task of type voice. And we're going to apply attributes to that task with JSON. And you can use whatever JSON schema you want to define the particular attributes that you need. So in this case, we've got its type. The fact that the skill required to handle it is that you have to be a sales guy, and that the customer has not had any recent problems. But you can really extend this to be as complex and as tailored to your particular use cases you want. And so as we follow that task through the life cycle of TaskRouter, what you see is it's not just a voice call, but there are things coming in from SMS. There are things coming in from your CRM or from your email. There are things coming in from chat. Every single task type can be handled through the same unified business logic. And that business logic lives inside the workflow. So as we follow this task through again, the workflow is really the brain of TaskRouter. This is a thing where you get to apply your logic and say, based on the JSON attributes that I've applied to tasks, I want you, TaskRouter, to inspect every single task, and based on these rules, I want you to put it in the right queue based on the JSON matching that I tell you to do. So we handle all of the state tracking and keeping track of all of the different things and building the giant state machine. You just give us the rule set that you want to apply on it, and you apply the attributes to the tasks when they're created. And so when the workflow routes a task, it's going to inspect it based on this syntax that you define in JSON. So here, hopefully you can read it. The JSON is very simple. It's going to inspect it and say, if the skill required is sales, then put it in the sales queue. If the skill required is support, put it in the support queue. And we also have a default queue in there as well. There's a few other things in there that we'll get to. So workflow says, okay, the skill required was sales. I'm going to put it in there. And it keeps routing all of the other things that were in the backlog behind it. But the workflow doesn't just route and forget. It's keeping track of every task in the system. And if you've defined escalation and timeout rules, it will keep track of something and say, this has been waiting for too long. I'm going to escalate this according to your particular escalation rules. So in this case, we've said if it times out and it's not handled quickly enough, escalate it and change it to a different queue. But you could also choose to say, just reprioritize it in the same queue or even age it out if it was no longer relevant to handle at all. So we've routed something, we've dynamically rerouted it based on the time that it's been in the system. And then when it gets to the front of the queue, when the longest waiting, highest priority task is at the front of the queue, we apply what you can see here in the blue text is kind of SQL-like syntax to dynamically associate the workers with the queues. So for each individual queue, we can match and say these particular workers are associated with this queue because they can handle this task. So the task router engine is going to say, okay, this worker has become available right now, and I'm going to make a reservation request to that worker to say, you are the best matched person to work on this thing. This thing is the longest waiting, highest priority task, and this is what needs to happen next, and you're the right person to do it. That reservation request can happen over a webhook, where we webhook to your platform and say, this is the right reservation request. Do you accept it or not? And you have the opportunity to accept the reservation if the worker does want to work on it, or reject it or ignore it if the worker's not interacting. Or you can also do it over WebSocket, directly down to the TaskRouter JS SDK, so that you don't even need a server in the middle at all. So you make that reservation request. We make the reservation request to the worker. If the worker accepts it, the task is assigned and the work can complete. That might be connecting the voice call together or connecting the video call. It might be assigning an email for someone to start working on. And the worker's going to keep working on that until they're done. And when they press done, they can become available again. And that task and all of the metrics, all of the stats about it, how long it was in the system, how long it was waiting in each thing, and all of the stats about the performance of each individual worker or queue or the entire workspace is tracked in the database so that you can pull those stats and you can pull and create any kind of real-time reporting on a wallboard or a historical reporting or anything else that you would want to build around the metrics of the performance of your routing capability. So that's a quick overview of how TaskRouter works to kind of put into context what you're going to see as we go through the demo. So we're going to break out now and go into some demos. Do you want to take it away while I...
So we'll have this in the center. There we go. Thanks, Al. So what we're going to show you now are 4 different scenarios where we're going to go through how TaskRouter can help your organization. In this first scenario, we're going to talk about routing, how tasks are assigned, prioritized, and escalated to the right worker at the right time. So in this scenario, Al's going to send an SMS to your hotline, and we're going to respond in, you can see, Salesforce Service Cloud. But before we begin, I just want to show you, we've pre-integrated here TaskRouter APIs into Salesforce Service Cloud. So you can see down here I have what we call console components. I have the TaskRouter component. I also have Twilio client, so if I wanted to take voice over IP calls, I can do that through this interface. I also have Twilio video, and we'll show you how each of these channels can interact during our demonstration. So for this first demonstration, Al, why don't you go ahead and send that SMS message into me, and I can also show you how we are going to handle that message through the workflow. So you can see we have the workflow that Al mentioned, and we're going to configure the rules here to decide where should this task go. And you can see here for high priority SMS messages, where the origin is SMS and the priority is high, then it's going to go to the high priority email and SMS queue, and any workers that are available in that queue. We can see there's another rule here that says it's a default SMS. So if the origin is just SMS and it's not high priority, then it'll go to the default SMS queue, which I'm a part of as Agent X. But what's interesting here is you can see also there's an escalation. For example, if within 2 minutes, an agent does not decide to accept this task in this task queue, it'll be escalated to the high priority queue. So let's go ahead and start that. So you can see, and my console component's lighting up because Al actually just sent an SMS text to your 1-800 or your hotline. And what you can see within the task router component here is that it came off of the default SMS queue. But you can also see that the priority is 1, so it's a low priority task. And we can see that we have a case already created in Salesforce.com. So it already pre-created the case, and I can get some of the context of the case. So if I go ahead and accept this task, what's going to happen now is Salesforce, it will do a screen pop, and we'll actually get the task to show up within the application. Let me just give you a second here. Accept. There it goes. So now we see the case popped, and we can see all the details of the case have already been pulled into the actual application. But what I'm also going to do is go through my publisher, and using Twilio APIs to do the actual messaging, you can see the initial message. Al said hi there. We actually auto-responded, and I don't know if you're seeing Al's phone on the other screens, but then I can actually say, how can I help you? And we'll send that along in the publisher. And that'll get sent off to Al's phone, and then he can thus then respond to us if he needs to. And this is just leveraging the Twilio messaging APIs. And there he goes. I've got stage fright. Very nice, Al. So the next scenario we want to do now is I'm going to complete the task. And by marking this task complete, I'm actually resetting my activity, which is my worker status. I want to let TaskRouter know that now I'm available for the next task. So next what we want to do is show priority. So what if I get an email, incoming email, and it's a low priority, and then a voice call comes in over your hotline? Well, obviously, your voice call should be responded to first. So what we're going to do is give a higher priority to that voice call so that the task router can then reprioritize what's been assigned to Agent X here. So let me close this out, and let's go wait for that email to come in. And we'll give the email a second to forward through task router. And there it is. It's lighting up. Here's my email that Al just sent. I really need help. Again, it's creating a case in Salesforce, but I'm not going to accept it. I'm going to leave it reserved to myself and leave it in the queue for any other agent that might be able to take it, because Al's going to call me right now. And when Al calls me, he's going to go through a Twilio IVR, and he's actually going to choose technical support as the option, which actually has a very high priority. And what will happen is, as the task router goes through its reservation timeout, and you can't hear the IVR.
I just pressed 2, so
okay.
I'm coming through right now.
So you're coming through right now. So what's happening now is, because of the session timeout, it's going to actually prioritize the task and then give me the voice call. So you can see it just happened. So you can configure the session timeout, and then what will happen is TaskRouter at that point in time will look at all the tasks that are available and then reprioritize them based on the highest priority. So this is a priority 5. I'm going to accept this task. And when I accept it, it's actually going to go through the Twilio client to process this task. And you can see there's Twilio client. I've connected with Al over Twilio client, and now we're having our conversation. And I'll end that. And of course, what I want to do now is go back to TaskRouter, mark the task complete, and be ready for my next. But what just happened? My email, which actually was started earlier with the lower priority, is still in the queue because no other agent was able to accept that task. So now I can actually go and take that task because I'm the only agent available right now, and now I can actually process that email task and mark that complete. So there we just talked about routing. In this next scenario, we want to talk about what we're calling alternative display methods, which is basically being able to accept a task over your mobile phone, as well as giving the context of that task through your mobile phone. So just envision you have a sales organization that's always out in the field, but you want to be able to leverage them to assign them tasks that come in. And in this case, Al's going to fill out a web to lead form on your website. Well, he's the CEO of an organization, and we want to ensure your best skilled salesperson is able to take this call? Well, it happens that my phone, Henry, I'm actually out in the field, I'm not in front of my computer, but I have my mobile phone with me. So I should be able to get that task and decide if I want to accept that task. But on top of that, I'll get all of the contextual information I need to take that call. So let's go ahead and submit that form.
All right, so I'm going to put in my phone number, and I'm going to write in here some information about what I want to do. I would like to buy all of your things. And I'm going to submit that as a pretty ideal sales request form.
So nothing's going to happen on Agent X because this is actually being assigned to me because this task is best qualified for me. But what I do have is my phone. So what's going to happen is the task router is going to realize that it should be assigned to me, and here it is, the phone call. I'm going to accept the call.
You have an inbound lead task. Al Cook. I would like to buy all of your things. Press 1 to accept or 2 to reject.
So now I actually have the choice of accepting or rejecting that task through my IVR. So I'm going to go ahead and accept that task. And what that will now do is actually make a phone call out to Al so I can strike while the iron's hot and complete that lead and close that sale. And,
Great.
all right.
I'm ready to buy.
Thank you. So in this next scenario, we want to talk about presence and channel awareness. So you want to ensure that your workers are available through the different channels you're offering to your customers and really give the best integrated communication experience. So in this case, we have Al, again, on the website, and he wants to do a video chat with support. And obviously, not all of your workers are either set up with the hardware to do video, they might not be skilled to do video, or simply they just don't have their video camera turned on. Well, how would you be able to tell that sort of presence? It's really channel availability. So what I want to show you here is an API that the TaskRouter API we've already hooked into, and Al showed you earlier that we have something called worker attributes. So I'm just going to refresh this to make sure I have the latest worker attributes. But if we take a look at the JSON for the worker attributes, I've set these worker attributes up. And you can see here I created something called available channels. So you can see I'm only available through Twilio client and my PSTN phone. So I don't have Twilio video on there, I don't have anything else there. So what I want to do now is just show you what will happen if you can actually update the worker attributes dynamically as I turn on the different channels. So here I go, I have video on now, and if I actually just minimize this and refresh my attributes, second, and I take a look at them now, you can see Twilio video is now an available channel. So I've just given channel awareness to TaskRouter, because now TaskRouter is only going to assign video calls to the video queue, which I am now a part of because I have my video camera turned on. So what I'm going to do now is just turn it off to show you how TaskRouter can dynamically evaluate that. So I'm going to shut that off, and let's initiate that video call out.
Okay, so I'm going to request a video consultation here. It says, please describe the problem you're having, but it would really be easier if I could show you. Send my question.
So Al's already set up, and you can see his screen. He's getting the video request in. And what we're going to do is we're going to see that task come through TaskRouter. Let's give it a second. Oh, you know what? I'm not going to get this task because I don't have my video channel turned on. That's a perfect point. So here we go. Let's turn on our video channel. And now we see the task coming in. So let's go take that task. You see it came through the video queue. I'm going to hit accept. And now we're going to actually initiate our video conversation. So there you are. Hi, Al.
Hi.
So what we're going to do next is just show you some of the CRM capabilities in here. I can obviously take a look at the contextual information. So the information that Al filled out in the form is contextual information that's been passed down to me, and I can actually take a look at what this video call is about. But what I can also do, simple things like take a snapshot of this session. And let's see if we got it in time. And then I can go look on his chatter feed, and I can see Al standing there, and we can take a look at his picture. So there we are. We have video integrated as another channel and showing channel awareness through TaskRouter. Let's end this call. And now I'm going to mark my task complete, so I'm ready for my next task, and my worker presence is now idle. All right, so for this last scenario, we wanted to show you integration capabilities. TaskRouter has a great API. We also have a Worker JS SDK, which enables you to integrate into web applications. But what about all the existing infrastructure, IP PBX hardware you have, the existing channels you have? Well, how would I integrate those into TaskRouter? So what if the billing organization only has available to them the SIP hard phones and the SIP soft phones that you have connected to your IP PBX? Well, how do we get that presence integrated into TaskRouter? So that's what I'm going to show you right now. So let me just turn off my video and come here, and you can see I have a soft phone installed called Zoiper. This is connected to my IP PBX. And again, if I show you through the available channels, similar to before, that Agent X does not have a SIP phone available as a channel, and you can even see my SIP status is offline. So what I've done here is I've actually integrated my soft phone, and when I turn this presence back to online, it's actually sending an event to the IP PBX. The IP PBX is then calling the TaskRouter API to update my worker attributes. So now it's fully integrated into TaskRouter, and if I refresh this list and open up my worker attributes, you can see now I have SIP phone, and my SIP phone status is online. So now I'm ready to take my SIP phone call. So for example, if I hit the Do Not Disturb button on my hard phone next to me, it would have actually sent the presence right back up to TaskRouter. So I'm going to do the same thing I did with video. I'm going to turn myself offline and show you how TaskRouter can route that task. So go ahead, I want you to put a call into the 1-800 line and look and choose billing for the IVR, and it should route it to the best skilled billing worker.
Welcome to the TaskRouter demo.
Okay, so I'm calling in, I've got an IVR, and I'm going to press 1 for billing.
And you can see that I'm not getting the tasks in because my presence for SIP phone is not available. So I'm going to send myself online here, and now the task will come in, so we can see the task. And what I'll do is I'll accept this task. And you can see it's for the billing queue. I have all the IVR information, so I actually know how they came through the IVR. I also see that it's a voice call and that we're going to answer this through my SIP interface. What it's going to do is Twilio is now going to do a SIP interface out to your IP PBX or your infrastructure to complete the call. And there's my phone. It's ringing. And this will actually take out off the task queue, and I can answer it through my SIP phone. Hello?
Hi.
And I'll hang that up. So that ends our demonstration scenario. So I just want to cover the 4 points that we went through. If we can put it back onto the main screen. The presentation, please. So we talked about routing, how we assign, prioritize, and escalate tasks to the right skilled workers at the right time. We talked about the alternative display methods and some of the context and presence capabilities. So you saw that even though I was out in the field and my mobile device was the only device I had, I was still able to accept a task and get the contextual information from text-to-speech. The channel awareness, the availability of the channels is critical. So through worker attributes and the API, I'm able to actually add more functionality and basically tell TaskRouter, is this worker available by phone, by video, or by email, or whatever else. And then the last piece we did was integration. So integrating with the legacy PBXs, your existing web applications, your existing hardware, and existing channels to be able to basically enable new functionality and modernization.
Okay, great. While we leave this up, I think we've got a few minutes for questions. Any questions, comments on what you saw here?
We got one right here.
Hi.
Let's do this one. We've got a microphone, and we'll get a microphone to you.
What other SIP phones do you have the integration with?
So it's not really about integration with SIP phones. We have a SIP interfaces capability that can connect from Twilio to any kind of SIP infrastructure. So in this case, we were sending the call over a SIP interface to a PBX. In this case, it was FreeSwitch, but it could have been a VIA, Cisco, Link, whatever. And then that was going from the PBX down to the phone hanging off the PBX. And so in this case, what we were doing was hooking into the present state on the PBX. So we showed a soft phone, but you could imagine that you had a hard phone on your desk in Do Not Disturb. You punch the DND button on your hard phone on your desk in your employee's location that have nothing like a soft client or Twilio client anywhere near there. You punch Do Not Disturb, it updates the presence in the PBX. That gives an event notification that you can hook into your server to then update TaskRouter, and it all just works seamlessly together.
There's
You have one over here.
Yep.
Say if there's a queue and there are more than one task coming in and then resolving it and then on to the next one, is there a way to intelligently route them, like if I get the next case, that it goes to my least busy rep?
Yeah, so we will load balance. If there are multiple workers available, we will load balance to the people to make sure that we're not giving it all to anyone. Yeah.
Okay, we've got one over here.
Yeah, automatically. Yeah.
Do you guys allow video capabilities over the SIP interface that you mentioned? I know you show the audio, but a lot of customers have already either MCUs or video phones. Is there any?
Yeah, we do not currently support video codecs over that SIP interface. Obviously, with the addition of video on our SDKs, that would be a really nice addition to have. Yeah.
Can I change the logic to load balance the tasks? For instance, I may have a salesman that's great, and I want him to take every call.
If you want someone to take every call and only other people to take calls if he can't take it, then you can absolutely build that in the way that you create your queue structure, for sure. Yeah.
So in terms of integration with the PBXs, is there a SIP trunking interconnect with the PBX interface? That's how it works. And is there a role of codec negotiation happening? You know, if there's a need for that in the voice call.
Yeah, so there are a couple of different things here if you want to do the PBX integration. Firstly, there's the SIP interoperability part to just get the voice call into the PBX. So we have a bunch of interrupt guides for SIP trunking. This is actually using our SIP interface product because it's from the Twilio cloud into the SIP using the kind of intelligence of the Twilio cloud. But the interrupt guides are really the same. So that's all public online. And then separately to the SIP interoperability aspect, you then also have the aspect of getting the presence API triggers from those PBXs. We did it with FreeSwitch. We will blog post about this and document that. We're working through doing the same with Avaya and everyone else as well.
Is it possible to, on a task, send it to 2 or more SIP endpoints at the same time and see if one picks up before the other?
Great question. When we initially launched TaskRouter, it was not. That was the very first feature that we added to be able to say, so in your portal, you can specify how many people you want to be able to send the task reservation to. So if you have a use case where you want to say, I just want to offer it to everyone and the first person who accepts it gets it, you can do that. Yeah.
Is it possible, or are there any plans to be able to do agent routing based off of dynamic data? So I'm thinking of, we have agents are ranked, and that's constantly being updated.
Yeah, so the best way to do that at the moment is probably to, when you assign the attributes to the task, to do your kind of dip of what information you want to be able to, what kind of dynamic information you want to associate at the time that you create the task. There isn't an equivalent kind of real-time dip on worker capabilities, so the best way is to apply it on the task today.
Okay, that's all the time we have for questions.
All right.
Let's hear it for Henry now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.